Hey, good morning. It's Mike Bowen, and it is, let's see, we're talking the 21st of April. Hopefully you can hear me even without my earbuds in here. And the Rules Embassy is now open. Good morning. Glad to be back from my visit to Hong Kong and the World Triathlon Cup there. Interesting experience. Loved it. Great deal. Good fun. I just want to let you know that right before I took off for Hong Kong, USA Tri came out with a brand new rule set for Multisport, dated 17 March. Let's see where my finger is there. I can't get to it. There we go. 17 March, ladies and gentlemen. So take the time to read through it. I took a bit of a gander while I was printing the doggone thing out at my office, and I find the format is a whole lot more reasonable than the previous version that we had, and it covers new sections on non-competitive events, adaptive triathlon, so folks that are interested in participating but may have special needs or special issues. Clydesdale and Athena rules are in there also. Talks about the specific details on how that stuff's done now. I believe relays is in there too, also is new stuff. And talking to gravel triathlon events, which seems to be a big thing as of this year. And also a little bit on draft legal triathlon if you're interested in trying that one out. All right, so if you followed any of the Ironman 70.3 Oceanside, sorry, I had a bit of a senior moment there. Had it in my notes and then took it out of my notes. There were a couple of athletes who were disqualified, professional, who were disqualified because they exceeded a certain speed limit on the Oceanside, Camp Pendleton Marine Corps base. Folks in social media were just kind of having a field day on that one and asking why folks would have to pay to submit an appeal for a disqualification. So if you go to the section of the USA rule set, and we're talking, page 60 to 61 and all that, there's a section on protests and appeals there. And let me just talk very quickly about it, but I've got a slideshow that's up here on the YouTube channel that talks about the appeal and protest process. The only thing that's different is probably the specific rule numbers, but the process still remains the same. So if you get a penalty at a USA Triathlon event for anything that's like a judgment call, say drafting, blocking, position fouls, whatever have you, those cannot be protested. Those are what's known as judgment calls. All right. You can protest the legality of a certain specific piece of equipment or of the legality of an athlete to participate in a race. Say a person who's not in your age group or your division that's racing in that division or something like that. Once again, the slideshow that I've got up on YouTube will take care of covering that sort of thing. Anything that's not based on a judgment call, such as a disqualification, and can be proven otherwise by technical proof, you can submit an appeal to USA Triathlon and pay, I believe it's either a $50 or $100 fee to them to talk about this one. And folks are saying, well, why don't they won their appeal, shouldn't they get their money back? Actually, no. It's kind of a different situation when you're talking about elites and professional athletes. For them, it's more of a day at the office, so that's kind of a sunk cost for that sort of situation. Remember that when you're seeing these things in the media talking about triathlon, that especially when it talks to elites / professional athletes, that they really are different than you and I, especially in the rules situation. Okay, so let's lay out a rhetorical question here. This is kind of that, if a tree falls in the forest kind of situation. All right, so if a technical official is not present at an event, or there's not enough technical officials that are at an event, do the rules change? So in the last couple of years, there have been some big age group events in America, especially in Florida, uh, one of which I will talk briefly to here. St. Anthony's Triathlon, which is like a big weekend because they have all sorts of races. You have an entry level race, Meek and Mighty. You have the age group race that's going on, and then you have your elite races going on also. Very big USAT related event, and lots of money involved and all that sort of stuff for the elite athletes. Some of the events in recent years have had smaller technical official groups assigned. I'm not sure whether that's because the sanctioning document calculated out, the calculation by USAT says, okay, hey, we only need this many officials because there are only this many athletes slated to be participating, or if it's the race director and USAT diverging on the number of TOs that need to be there to ensure the race is safe and fair. Hard to tell. Okay. One thing it doesn't do, it does not change the rules which need to be followed. Pardon me. Just because there may not be technical officials on the bike course to enforce drafting and positioning doesn't mean that those rules just go by the wayside. All right, there are no exceptions or amendments to the rule set unless the race organizer requests it specifically from USAT. I have a friend who's a race director, and he wanted to make his race wetsuit legal regardless of the water temperature, and he was doing it primarily for safety reasons. And I told him, yeah, you can do that. I said, but when you put your sanction in, you have to request specifically for the event to be wetsuit legal. Don't know if you can do wetsuit Mando, but you can do wetsuit legal. But you have to get permission from USAT. If the amendment is allowed by USAT during the sanctioning process, it has to be communicated to all parties before the day of the race, including the technical officiating staff. Okay, so we need to know if there are any changes and variations that have been approved by USAT. If it is on the sanction and if it has been approved 99 times out of 100, that head referee will receive some sort of notification from folks at USA Triathlon saying, hey, these rules are in effect, these rules have been modified. So regardless of how many officials there are at the race venue ensuring safety and fairness, your equipment still needs to be legal. Your draft distance is unchanged. Your positioning on the bike course is unchanged. And you still have to rely on your own resources and those the race organization provides within limitations and within the rules to help you finish the day. Okay? Now, in a perfect world, technical officials, we wouldn't necessarily be needed. I'll tell you that for us it would be a rather boring world, or perhaps we would take our weekends and also participate in triathlons. All right, so that's about all I got to say about that. That was something that kind of came up in a little bit of some email chatter this morning that I was tied into. One thing that we definitely shouldn't do as a technical official, so if you're at an event and a referee cites a ruling that seems a little dated or a little strange, just doesn't sound right, doesn't make sense to you, or even if somebody next to you in the transition area says, oh, hey, you can do this, the rule says this, if it sounds a little outrageous, it probably is. So ask to speak with the head official, or see a copy of the rule set for confirmation. As a head official, more often than not, I keep this stuff in a bag with me at the race. I have it there all the time because I have notes in there that tell me exactly what I need to worry about as far as specifics on rule enforcement. I have the rules itself so that I can point out a rule to an athlete who has a question after the race if they've been penalized, or before the race if they have a question. I can always reach out and put that out there. Okay, so we're human. We officials are human. We eat, sleep, breathe, excrete, secrete, and make mistakes just like everybody else, all right? At the very least, we may interpret a rule incorrectly. So that's why we have head officials, who are the final judge of interpreting the rule, all right? So back in the day, I would work with, if I worked with another official who was the head ref, you know, they may ask me, Mike, what do you read on this rule? And then they'll make that decision. But I would not be able to overrule them or second guess them. It would be up to them. And if I were the head referee, the head official, I was the guy that was making the final call. And 99 times out of 100, I would make sure to take some notes down, all right, just in case somebody got upset. So if the rule is not written down, if it's not in here or not in the rule book, it shouldn't be enforced, all right? And folks higher up the food chain at USA Triathlon need to be made known of this situation if if an official is trying to enforce a rule that doesn't exist in the books, okay? So if you have a situation like that, you want to get the information down as simple and as clearly as possible. Get the name of the event, the location, the official that told you this thing, the head official, if it's different than the technical official that told you this situation, and you're concerned about the rules, okay? And you should send that information in an email to rulesandofficials@usatriathlon.org. I will put a link down in the bottom in the notes section of this video in case you want to look for that, all right? I'll admit, over the past couple of years, okay, remember I've been doing this since, let's see, 2011, so you're talking almost 15 years. I've had a couple telephone calls from the head of officials asking for some clarity on a situation brought to their attention. And on those situations when I kind of stepped outside of the boundaries of the rule book, I led to a gentle remediation session, you know, and that's why they're there. They're there to help educate us if we do make a mistake. Now, if we do something very, very grievous, it can mean being disciplined and spanked and maybe even uninvited to continue in the officiating program. So we are, you know, remember, as technical officials, we're there at the race site to interpret and enforce the rules in order to ensure a safe and fair race. We're not there to write new rules, all right? I hope that this wasn't too confusing, as I've always said, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And if you have any questions, once again, if you're talking about rules and officiating, that would go to rules and officials, one word, rulesandofficials@usatriathlon.org. If you have any questions about specific rules and you don't want to take it up to the folks at USAT on high, you can send them to me at www.facebook.com/USAT Rules Guy, or you can reach me at michael.s.bowen@gmail.com. Have a wonderful morning. Take care.